I'm Chris Denham, opinions editor for the Hill News, and with me is Dean of Student Life, Hagi Bradley. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So we just have a couple quick questions about student life in the COVID-19 crisis. So to jump right in, um, what is the operations of the administration looking like right now? Can you give us a look inside of how the administration is making their decisions?
Yes, and I can tell you that senior staff meets every day to talk about, new things that come up, new mandates from the governor, new things that we hear through other networks. And so that is a daily meeting where we are updating. Currently, we have broken things into different areas where we're looking at student life, we're looking at administration, we're looking at academics, and we're trying to figure out, what it's going to look like in the future. And we're making decisions day by day as new information comes out to try to best meet the needs of our students and to do what's best for the university overall, for the entire university community. So right now, all of us are working from home. All of us, most offices are closed right now, and so we're all working from home. We have a lot of Zoom meetings every day, pretty much back to back to back Zoom meetings all day, every day. And and we're also meeting with other groups. Like I meet with vice presidents of student life and deans of students all over the country, and we talk about how they're handling it and if there are any new ideas and really trying to figure out new ways to address this new world these days.
That's great, thank you. Um, Yeah, so kind of looking into those decisions that you guys are making, are there any preparations in case fall 2020 becomes an online semester?
Yes, that is something that has come up recently. We are making plans for school to start back on time as normal. We're making plans if school has to be delayed a little bit, if school has to start online and then continue in person. And as some schools have also started looking at what happens if the fall semester, if all the regulations and the mandates are not released, what does it mean if fall semester has to be online or uh, pushed to spring semester? What is that going to mean? So as of right now, we meet constantly with our subgroups to talk about all of these things, and then we're going to present the options that we've come up with back to senior staff next week, so that we will have gone through all of those. But I meet with all the deans and directors within student life. One of the first things I charged them with was, how do you reach students online and remotely? And so a number of them have come up with new plans. Uh, Career Services, for instance, has an entire way of communicating with students through Zoom and through videos and trying to continue working with students, being able to find careers and finding internships and all of those. So we are trying to do a number of things to reach our students wherever they are. Starting Monday morning for our counseling, we will be extending our counseling, and we will have an on a phone option for counseling, so that students, no matter where they are, no matter what time it is, can call and talk to a licensed and trained counselor. We know that this is a really heavy time right now, and we believe that this is something, by extending our counseling services, this is something that can really help our students better be able to cope with just life in general and these difficult times.
Thank you, yeah. So my next question is, what are the plans and decisions being made about student belongings and how those will be returned to students or picked up? And with that, for students who will be attending St. Lawrence next year, how will how will their items be stored until they come back to campus?
Yes, and we've had quite a few meetings about students' items and making sure they're safe, trying to figure out, if say if the regulations are lifted in the summer, allowing students to come back in on a scheduled basis so that we're not totally overloaded, but so we have so many come in at a time to be able to get their stuff. If the regulations aren't lifted until, closer to the fall semester, what are some options of things that we could do then? And how can we best keep student stuff safe, but also get student stuff to them? We've been pricing out, what it would look like for moving companies to come in and pack up student stuff, for us to be able to store it safely or to send it to students. Um, would if regulations aren't lifted until closer to the fall semester and we open on time, would it be possible for students to come back and then move their stuff then? So we're looking at all options that we possibly can. We're throwing out all the ones that we can. We're talking to other schools and seeing how they're doing it. Some schools have tried some methods that did not work early on and they ended up scrapping those. So we made note of those. And, much like everything else, it's a day-to-day thing that we're monitoring and trying to gather as much information from others and trying to come up with the best ways that we can so that student stuff stays safe, but so that students also are able to get their stuff because that's very important to us.
So for students who will be coming back to St. Lawrence, hopefully in the fall semester, um, would you guys be storing their stuff and then allowing them to move it into their new rooms, or?
Yes, that is one of the options we're looking at, is being able to store stuff in the field houses and Appleton, just in places that are large enough where we would be able to store in all of those places and to keep things safe, and to label people's stuff. We've also talked about being able to Zoom with students as we pack up if we have to pack up their stuff, to Zoom with them to make sure that stuff is safe and make sure that we know whose is what, and packing all that up and labeling it correctly, and then yes, storing it safely so that students could come back, get their stuff, and then move into a new place if that's what happens. If the timing happens that way, yes.
Gotcha. I appreciate you guys coming up with those plans.
Yeah,
That's
it's
helpful.
hard because you got to come up with more than just one plan. You've got to be
Right.
like, okay, what happens if this happens? Okay, let's make one plan for that. All right, what happens if this happens? Let's make a whole nother plan for that. And so we have to make multiple plans. And that's what we're in the process of doing now, is making those multiple plans of what does it look like depending on the timing and when people are able to come in and move things correctly. So yeah, it's a lot more thought that goes into it than just, oh, okay, we just gonna make this one plan and that one plan sticks.
Do you guys have any updates about students or staff with COVID-19?
We do know that there are no students on campus that have COVID-19. We are not aware if any students that are not here, because that is something they would have to report back to us and not something that we would automatically know. But we do know that no students here on campus have COVID-19. There was a report earlier of a staff member who had it, who was at home and was able to uh, document all the people that that individual had been in touch with. So the public health professionals were able to get in touch with all of the people that individual had come in contact with to let them know that they had a person that they had been in contact with that had tested positively. We don't know the identity of that person because of privacy laws and privacy issues, but we do know that that person was at home when they found out that they tested positive.
Gotcha. So moving more towards the students and the student body and student life right now, um, do you have any thoughts about students who might be in bad home conditions, either because of family issues or financial issues, health issues, or just where they live? Do you have any thoughts about those students?
Yes, and that always breaks my heart because I want our students to be safe and I want our students to be cared for. Some students were able to apply to stay here and are still on campus. We still have over 100 students that are on campus. Some are international students, some are domestic students who couldn't go home. And then we will be having another application process for the summer for students to apply if they can't go home or home is not an ideal situation, to be able to apply and stay on campus during the summer, to be in an environment that's safe, that they can do their work if they're taking summer school classes, and you know, just have a good quality of life is really what we're hoping for. So we do try to look out for our students in as many ways as we can, and we want to make sure that we can provide what we can to help make our students' lives better.
Okay, so a similar question involving the process of returning room and board money. What does that kind of look like?
I do know that our financial department is looking at that right now, and that decision and process will happen towards the end of the semester when we know more. But I do know that our finance department, our VP of Finance, Steve, is looking at that, and we have already discussed that we know that, you know, room and board fees are going to have to be returned. We just don't know at what portion and what that's going to look like yet.
Okay. So my final question here, in the email survey I think you sent out a couple weeks ago now, you mentioned, and as some students already know, that the St. Lawrence has hired an outside contractor to kind of redefine the core values of St. Lawrence and um, what St. Lawrence as a university looks like. So what is that process looking like, and how is that going to affect everything that's going on in the COVID crisis?
Yes, it's so there's one large task force that's working on that, and then there are subgroups within that, and I'm on one of the subgroups for programmatic aspects of looking at St. Lawrence. And really what we want to do is ensure that St. Lawrence is meeting the needs of our students today, and that we're not still programming and not still doing things according to an older model of what students needed years ago. So we want to make sure that the things that we're doing and the things that we're focusing on and the places that we're paying the most attention are what's going to serve our students the best. So in looking at the survey results, you know, we're able to right size our programs, focus more on other programs, make changes in programs, and really to meet the needs of today's student, because you know that's what college is about, is meeting you all where you are, and and carrying you forward and helping develop you for the world out there today. And so in doing that, we're looking at all different aspects of the university, and we're basically breaking down the box so that we're not thinking in a box, and that we're being creative, and we're being responsive to your needs. And so we meet. I'm on the programmatic group. We meet twice a week now on Zoom. So it's a number of faculty, some staff, and administrators who deal with different areas of the college, and we're talking about what are ways that we can improve St. Lawrence and make it better, make it more attractive for students, new students coming in, and make it more attractive for those students who are here already to stay here and want to be here. So it's a great way to really just turn over everything and look at everything with fresh eyes and say, this is what we're doing well, this is what we need to upgrade, this is what we need to update, and this is what we need to be doing to meet the needs of our students today. So I actually enjoy being on the committee and talking with everyone. I mean, we meet for 2 hours, and within that 2 hours, so many great ideas come out, and we talk so much about just what does the student experience and what should the student experience look like.
Well, I mean, just a thought based on what you said there. Um, since it is the student experience, how can students have a voice in this discussion?
And I do know that the larger task force is planning on doing some more some listening sessions and things of that nature. So right now it's just it's kind of hard to do these things when there's no one on campus. But I do know that'll look different when people are back on campus.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I appreciate that you guys are taking the time to listen to student opinions.
Yes.
And thank
Yeah,
you
to
guys.
me,
Oh,
student opinions are very important. Part of my job for me is to listen to students, know what you're saying, know what's going on, and then to be able to advocate on your behalf. And so it's one of the reasons that I chose to come here. And it's one of the reasons that I love being here, is because I love listening to you all, the students, and I just love the students, and I love the St. Lawrence community, and I love being able to advocate on your behalf.
and we really appreciate it. Yeah. So thank you so much for all of your efforts on behalf of the students and for making this process so transparent for us as we all go through this crisis together. And thank you for talking with me today.
All right, and thank you, and you stay safe, stay healthy out there, and by all means, if you need anything, you let me know, okay?